I still remember the first time he spoke to me. Clear, steady, impossible to ignore. The earth is filled with violence. Build an ark. The voice was not a sound that traveled through the air to my ears. It was a resonance that bloomed from the very center of my being, a truth so profound it silenced the world around me. My hands, calloused from a lifetime of working the soil, trembled. I stood on dry, cracked earth, the sun a familiar weight on my shoulders, and looked at the horizon. There wasn't a cloud in sight, nor had there been for what felt like an eternity. An ark. Here, miles from any great body of water. It was a command that defied all logic, a whisper of madness in a world deaf to anything but its own roaring appetites. I wanted to dismiss it, to cast it aside as a figment of an old man's weary mind. But his presence lingered, a silent, unshakable certainty that settled deep within my spirit, pressing against my soul like thunder waiting to break. The world I knew, the world of my fathers and their fathers before them, had rotted from the inside out. The laughter of children was now laced with cruelty. The songs of celebration had turned into hymns of debauchery, and the ground itself seemed to cry out from the weight of spilled blood and broken promises. I saw it every day in the eyes of my neighbors, a hollowness, a desperate hunger for power and pleasure that consumed everything it touched. God had seen it too. His heart, I felt, was breaking. Days blurred into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years that piled one upon another like the gopher wood we now felled. My sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, stood by my side, their youthful strength a stark contrast to my aging frame. At first, they were filled with questions, their brows furrowed in confusion. But they saw the conviction in my eyes, the unwavering fire that the divine command had lit within me, and they chose to trust. Our small family became an island in a sea of mockery. The sound of our hammers and saws became the town's running joke, a constant, rhythmic punchline. "Look at the old fool," they would jeer, their voices dripping with scorn. "Building a ship for a desert. Has the sun finally baked his brain?" Children would throw stones at the rising structure, their parents laughing as they did. Men of influence would stop by, their faces masks of condescending pity. "Noah," they'd say, shaking their heads, "give this up. You're shaming your family. There is no flood coming. The world is as it has always been." Their words were like sharp pebbles, but my faith was the bedrock they struck against. Each swing of the hammer was a prayer. Each plank we hoisted into place was an act of worship. Each drop of sweat that fell from my brow was a testament to the promise I held in my heart. My sons and I worked under the searing sun and the cold, indifferent stars, shaping wood that would soon carry the breath of life itself. The vessel grew, a colossal, improbable monument to obedience, its shadow stretching longer with each passing day. Each nail I drove into the fragrant wood felt like faith made visible, a tangible declaration against a world drowning in its own disbelief long before the first drop of rain would fall. Then, the first raindrop fell. It landed on my outstretched hand, a single dark jewel against my weathered skin. It was so small, so insignificant, yet it held the weight of a prophecy fulfilled. Another followed, then a dozen. A hushed silence fell over the scoffers who had gathered for their daily entertainment. Their mocking laughter caught in their throats. One became hundreds. Hundreds became thousands. And suddenly, the sky, once a canvas of brilliant, unforgiving blue, was torn asunder by a veil of grey. The heavens opened not with a gentle shower, but with a fury, a torrent that hammered the ground with the force of judgment. The dust turned to mud, the mud to streams, and the streams to raging rivers that devoured the land. The world drowned in its own rebellion. We herded the animals up the great ramp, 2 by 2, a parade of creation seeking refuge. The lion walked beside the lamb, the wolf beside the goat, their primal instincts silenced by a greater, more terrifying awe. As the last creature stepped aboard, and my wife and sons and their wives followed me into the cavernous belly of the ark, I pulled the great door shut. A profound, echoing boom sealed us inside, and the world outside was silenced forever. Inside the ark, surrounded by the lowing of cattle, the cries of exotic birds, and the constant, deafening drumming of rain on the wooden shell, I finally understood. The rhythmic chaos was a symphony of survival. The swaying of the massive vessel, once a source of fear, became a comforting rock in a cradle of destruction. In the flickering lamplight, watching the faces of my family, I realized obedience isn't about understanding the grand design. It's about trusting the hand of the designer, even in the darkest of storms. When the silence returned, it was more deafening than the storm had ever been. The relentless pounding of the rain had ceased, replaced by an unnerving stillness, broken only by the gentle lapping of water against the hull. For 40 days and 40 nights, we had been tossed upon the face of an endless ocean. Now, there was only the vast, quiet expanse of water and sky. The world we had known was gone, washed clean. Weeks turned into months of waiting. Hope became a fragile, precious commodity we nurtured in the dim light of the ark's interior. I sent out a raven, a creature of darkness, and it flew back and forth, finding no place to rest. Then I sent out a dove. It returned, its small wings weary. I waited 7 more days, my heart a knot of anticipation, and sent it out again. This time, when it returned at evening, my knees gave way. Clutched in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Green. Life. A promise from a world reborn. The storm was over. Not just the one that had raged outside, but the one that had churned inside my soul for over a century. The burden of the prophecy, the weight of the ridicule, the terror of the flood, it all washed away in that moment, leaving behind a profound and quiet peace. We had been preserved. And when the rainbow stretched across the sky, a magnificent 7-hued arch bridging the heavens and the newly cleansed earth, I knew. It was more than just light refracting through moisture. It was a signature written across the clouds, a divine seal upon a new covenant. As my family and I stepped out onto the damp, clean ground, the air smelled of rain-washed soil and new beginnings. The animals, once our companions in confinement, now dispersed across the virgin landscape, carrying with them the spark of life to repopulate the world. Standing there, with a vibrant arc of color painting the sky above us, I saw not the memory of the waters that had destroyed, but the promise of the grace that had saved. It was a sign that his anger, though righteous and terrible, was finite, but his love was everlasting. We were the inheritors of a second chance, the first children of a world baptized by water and redeemed by faith. In that moment, I understood the awesome, beautiful truth. Judgment had ended, but mercy had just begun. If this story reminded you that faith still matters when the world calls you foolish, share it. Someone out there needs to know that obedience can still build hope in the middle of chaos. Like, subscribe, and walk with me through the stories of those who trusted when everything was sinking.